On today's show, why there's one Ottawa Senators player that can single-handedly save the season.
And Sens prospect season is unfortunately over, and the NHL is back, so we've got an out-of-town scoring guide.
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Today is Wednesday, February 25th. And Pillsy, I hope Linus Ullmark got all the rest recovery that he needs because Ottawa, well, if they want to make the playoffs, he's going to have everything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's their number one goalie. Goaltending's been the number one issue. Now he's got a couple weeks where hopefully he got the rest, relaxation, recovery that he needed. He did have the flu on the final day of the NHL for the Ottawa Senators. So hopefully that's all cleared up now and ready to go for a playoff push, because this team's doing a lot of things right recently. And if they can get average goaltending, I think it's fair to say they could even be better than just a good team. Like if you look at the metrics, the advanced analytics around the league, Mike Kelly is a big guy to point out how good the Ottawa Senators are overall. So Linus Ullmark plays a key role in them getting wins.
Well, everything to do with the .885 save percentage. When Ottawa gets that, they're basically the best team in the National Hockey League. And that is 10 points lower than the average NHL save percentage. So they don't need him to come in here and be spectacular. They need him to come in and provide stability and not those deflating goals that we've seen time and time again from this team, including himself when he's been in. Like, he's not immune to this. It's not just when he was out of the lineup that Ottawa was struggling in between the pipes. He was really, really tough on himself, I think, earlier on this season, and it showed. Now, in his career, in March, he's got a .912 save percentage, and in April, he's got a .926 regular season save percentage. If he can come close to those numbers, the Sens make the playoffs.
I think so, especially when you look at, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but all the Eastern teams and battles that the Sens are going to have moving forward once they're kind of over this Western road trip. The Sens have an opportunity to hold their fate in their own hands, which they need to do, because we tried it the other way, Ross, and we'll keep trying it that way. But hoping that the Out of Town Scoreboard is going to be what saves you hasn't been working out. You can still wish for the best, and you can still decide how you want things to go. But ultimately, if the Sens aren't winning their own games, it doesn't matter how the Out of Town Scoreboard goes.
No, but we will look at the Out of Town Scoreboard later on, because there are teams that Ottawa is directly chasing or tied with that are in action tonight. So that's the return, and it's going to be very interesting to see as well with the return of hockey, just how sloppy it is tonight, because this is longer. I want to say it's a couple days longer than the Four Nations All-Star break was last season. It's been, what, three weeks since the Ottawa Senators last played a game. It'll be 3 weeks tomorrow, so on the dot. And it's not like they got to dip their toes back in. It's a rivalry game and a game against a team that you've lost to twice this season already.
Yeah, and some heartbreaking losses too. I mean, that game that James Reimer played, the Ottawa Senators were the better team by far and just couldn't get the win.
Yeah, and then just brutal the way the overtime happened in the game in Detroit where Ottawa was up 2, and that's the one Reimer played, and you just wish that you could find an extra point here or there. And Linus Ullmark needs to be the difference between getting that and not. He's played 2 games in the last 60 days, Pillsy. Almost 2 months since his last third game. What do you need to see from him? Like, how much realistically can we expect him to play down the stretch?
Well, we've got 25 games left, we said?
Yep.
I expect him to play, I forget how many back-to-backs we counted.
I think it was 5.
3 in March and 2 in April, so 5. So minus 5 of those games, that's 20. And then let's take off maybe 2 more just throughout the schedule. So I'll say I expect Linus Ullmark to play 18 games for the rest of the year here. And he's a guy that can put together decent stretches. Like, maybe this is cherry picking, Ross, but I put together a 13 game sample size from November 8th to December 18th. And he had an 8-4-1 record with a 903 save percentage. Like, if he can put together numbers like that, like I said, a 905 save percentage would be big for this team. And 8-4-1, like, if you can go on that kind of pace moving forward, this team's got a real shot. So hopefully the games that I cherry picked, that streak there is what he can do, because I could have looked at a couple other stretches, Ross, and it wouldn't be so great.
Hey, why don't we cherry pick the most recent games? He's looked really good in the games since he's been back. Now, he wasn't busy against Pittsburgh, still made a couple of good saves, but the New Jersey win, like, they don't win that game without his brilliance. 26 saves, a couple high danger shots, especially late in the game, that he was able to kick out. So, yeah, he's played 2 games in the last 2 months, but he's got a 930 save percentage in those 2 games. So you put this together, it's the most confusing storyline for the Ottawa Senators. Obviously, we wanted him to feel good and be at his best, and that leave of absence, according to him, did him wonders in perspective and everything that he needs to be at his best. Just really unfortunate that flu hit him, because it gives all Sens fans the same sinking feeling of, oh boy, like, even when he's back, like, can we rely on him to be an everyday starter in the NHL? Because that was the question when they acquired him. Last year, he started 43 games. That was the second most in his NHL career. Most starters around 55, 60. He's never even sniffed that. Now, if he plays, you mentioned 18 games is the goal for him.
Yeah.
That would put him at 48 games for the season. It would tie his career record for most starts in a season. That's why I'm a little nervous by that number. But frankly, I don't think the Senators have much of a choice in terms of putting another option in there in these high leverage games that are coming up.
Yeah, I'll say I want him to play at least 15, and then somewhere between 15 to 18. That gives Reimer between 7 and 10 games played. Now, I'll ask you this. Do you think it could happen? Second, do you think it should happen that Leevi Merilainen will play an NHL game for the rest of the season?
I do not think it should happen, and I think it would mean that there's either an injury or an awful stretch of performance from one of those 2 goalies to even give him another game. Like, he needs to be in Belleville. He's been good and bad in Belleville. Like, he's been very inconsistent, and we're not piling on Leevi Merilainen. He's 23 years old. He's got a lot of runway ahead of him. Goalies take longer to develop. He's a 3rd-round pick. That's not the problem. The problem is the inconsistency wherever he's playing, and that's something that you can continue to iron out at the AHL level. And with Belleville being in a lost season, it's unfortunate that those games, for them, they probably are high leverage right now. They feel like they still have a shot. 4 games straight against Utica for Belleville, we'll see, but I want Leevi to play as much as possible with the Belleville Sens this year, period.
Okay, well, the way you worded that leaves the door open. You said as much as possible for Belleville. What if there's opportunities for him just to quickly come play in the NHL, not miss any games in Belleville, and then come back down? You don't think this is the final year, right, where Leevi won't need waivers?
Yeah.
You don't think that's something that they should at least use and give him a couple games? Like, let's say he gets hot in Belleville, like you mentioned, more than likely a lost season in Belleville. Let's say he gets hot, really picks it up, gets some confidence. Do you put him in for one of those games and then give Ullmark a break? Or you're looking at, hey, maybe we don't fully trust Reimer here, let's put Leevi in, or just straight up, let's just keep him down there so he doesn't have this back and forth like he's had throughout his time in Ottawa? So
the question is, who do you trust more, James Reimer or Leevi Merilainen, right?
I mean, I think for certain spot starts, like, I think the Ottawa Senators are going to stick to James Reimer as being their backup in the NHL, but I wouldn't be too upset if they gave Leevi a game or 2 throughout the rest of the year.
Levy's 1-4 in his last 5 games in the AHL with a save percentage below 850 or 873 in 3 of them and above 910 in 2 of them. Like, until he can string together 5 to 8 consistent performances, no, because you don't know what you got every night when you put him in. You can't look and say this guy's going to stop 89 to 94% of the shots.
Couldn't you say the same about Linus Ullmark and James Reimer?
Thing about Linus Ullmark is you're paying him 8.5 or 8.25 sheets. He better. Like, you at that point, it's a management decision where they have to ride with their horse.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's been my opinion is, look, you've put your chips in, you've placed your bets that Linus Ullmark is going to be your guy. No matter what people think, you have to ride that. You've made that decision. You have to hope and expect that he's going to turn things around and he's going to be able to, I don't want to say save the season because that's being a little dramatic, because he doesn't need to save the season. He just needs to be average. Saving the season is what Leevi Merilainen did last year, where in 12 games, he had insanely amazing numbers that were not expected of him. We're just asking to do Linus Ullmark even less than what's expected of him. We're just asking for him to be an average goaltender.
Let us know in the comments your thoughts on Linus Ullmark going into this stretch run, because he is single-handedly the most important Ottawa Senator if the team is going to have any further success. Last week, we did our top 10 Sens prospects, and unfortunately, one of them, they're done for the season. We'll tell you who next, and then get into an out-of-town cheering guide as the NHL returns from the Olympic break. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. So if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love looking at futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win it all or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick win, but it could also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our very good friends over at the Glebe Central Pub. Check them out at 779 Bank Street and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. The shuttle is back for tomorrow's game. You can get your tickets on GlebeCentralPub.com, the website. You can head to 779 Bank Street at least an hour and 15 minutes before the game. That's when the bus leaves, but you're welcome to come earlier. Grab a seat, grab a pint, grab a bite, and enjoy the atmosphere at the Glebe Central Pub. They got something going on almost every single night of the week. My favorite is every Saturday, live music, and you know we will be taking part in that in just a few weeks' time after the Senators have a matinee against the Anaheim Ducks. We're going to be boots on the bus for that one. Those tickets will be available very soon in the coming days at GlebeCentralPub.com. We'll keep you posted on that. But head there for great food, awesome drinks, and atmosphere to match. You can catch the game. It's right in the heart of the Glebe, just steps from Lansdowne. It's just a great place to catch the game, live music, or just a night out with friends. And we want you to make the Glebe Central Pub your home base because, as you know, the vibes are free at the GCP. All right, Pilsy. So the Ottawa Senators are back in action tomorrow night. The U.S. players are back. Brady Tkachuk and Jake Sanderson have finished their celebrations. We do not expect them to be on the ice for practice today. Practice is at 11 a.m. So if you're listening to this after, you can head over to Twitter at Sens Central for the latest on that. But they are expected to be in the lineup when the Detroit Red Wings are at the CTC tomorrow night. What are you expecting from those two in the first game back?
I will have low expectations, and it's not because I'm sitting here being like, "Oh, they used up all their energy, partying,
They're drunk,
whatever." Yeah, like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they've been through a whirlwind of experiences, of travel. Like, you're going to be fatigued just in general. I'm not expecting them just to have a terrible game, but I don't think we'll see a Jake Sanderson or Brady Tkachuk career game on Thursday.
And you could probably throw Dylan Larkin in there on the other side of things with Detroit coming to town in that game. Now, I'm of two minds of that. Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks that. The other part of me is saying they're the only two players that have played meaningful hockey in the last 2.5 weeks.
Nicholas Matinpalo.
You think Nicholas Matinpalo is going to be in the lineup tomorrow night?
I never said that, but he's played meaningful hockey in the last 2 weeks.
And Timmy.
Bronze medal. Come on.
Lars Eller. Okay. You're right. So in the last week.
Yeah, I mean, definitely fair. But I mean, I don't know. Well, this is a rest versus rust.
I really wanted you to go back to Matinpalo so I could point out he played 2 minutes in the bronze medal game and a minute 30 in the semis.
He played.
Hey, that medal's still going to be there. I was going to say it still shines bright. Does bronze shine? I don't think bronze is shiny.
It's got some shine to it, definitely. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the rest.
Okay, so on that note, Jake Sanderson leads all defensemen in ice time just about every night. Would this be a game where you shelter him and have Thomas Chabot play, even if you play Chabot with Zub and say that's our top pair tonight? Or is it just you're going to be more wary of shift length and that sort of thing?
I wouldn't use the word shelter for sure. Definitely more wary of shift length. Maybe you put Thomas Chabot out on that top power play. I think it's going to be small things like that. So I guess in a way that is sheltering, but not in the full sense. Like, if Detroit's got their top lineup out there, you're not putting Clevin and Spence out there to give Sandy a rest type thing.
Yeah, okay. It'll be fascinating to see across the National Hockey League, and we'll get a glimpse into that tonight with the teams that are playing. Like, those American players that are playing tonight, like, that's a quick turnaround. That's an extremely quick turnaround. And we know that some of them aren't going to play. Like, Jack Eichel's not going to play. Noah Hannafin's not going to play for the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. So time will tell. Tomorrow, we'll have a much better idea on who's in and who's out when the NHL returns. Unfortunately, Senators' fourth best prospect, according to Locked On Senators, Logan Hensler with the Wisconsin Badgers, his season's done. Over. You saw the brutal clip a couple weeks ago, and the head coach, Mike Hastings, said he's going to be out a while. Well, it turns out a while is a season-ending injury for Logan Hensler. Just horrible, bad luck, bad spot on the ice, and man, that's a big blow. Like, not only for the kid who has put up a more offensive season, or as offensive of a season as he put up last year in 9 less games, but a guy who some Sens fans were thinking might have been a trade chip. Now, you're not trading a guy who's out for the year with a leg injury.
Yeah, I don't think Steve Sales was going to trade him anyways, Ross. I think him and Yakimchuk would have been two untouchable prospects, but now certainly that's off the table. And yeah, just gutted for Logan. Good guy's been on the show. We're rooting for him to have a good recovery, but these are crucial years and games to lose in your development path, especially as a young defenseman. And you mentioned it, 12 points, 23 games. He doubled his goals from last season in 9 less games. Last year was a -13. This year's a +6. So although maybe it's not the skyrocketing uptick in stats that you would hope from a player and one of your top prospects in their sophomore season, he still was trending in the right direction, in my opinion. So this really cuts him down. And for a guy, I mean, he's still young, so it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. Brandon Piller, not a doctor, but for a young, smooth skating defenseman to get a leg injury, that sucks.
Yeah, you just hate to see it overall. And a tough year for Logan as well. Was not used very much in the World Juniors. 5 games there, no points, averaging about 10 minutes of ice time. And you felt like he was going to potentially be a big part of the team as a returning player, as a guy who was 19. His final World Juniors didn't go the way anyone would have hoped, but great kid. We know that he's going to battle through it. And you could even say it was 12 points in 22 games, really, because he got injured 3 minutes into the game that he was ultimately injured, or 3 minutes of ice time into the game that he was ultimately put out for the season. If you're squirmy with those types of things, don't go watch that clip. It's not a good injury.
I have to scroll past it every time I see it. I can't do it. A tough one for Logan for sure.
It's just so frustrating, man, because you're finally starting to build your prospect pool. You're finally starting to get first round picks back. And I was looking back, man. Do you know how outrageous it is that the Senators, when they missed the playoffs for 7 seasons, they didn't have a first round pick in 2020 or 2019. They didn't have a first round pick in 2022 or 2023. And now in 2026, they don't have one either. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, at least they had 3 first-round picks in 2020. Thank God.
Thank goodness. Did they have one in 2021?
Yes.
Oh,
they did.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough looking back, but at the time, we were Sens fans. We were like, we need to make some big moves, and you had to do that through trades. The free agency. I mean, you did get Claude Giroux, Tarasenko, Dadonov, and at the time, those were considered good pickups for the Sens. Well, Claude Giroux, don't have to put the at the time asterisk on that one. He's just been a legendary free agent signing, but you had to try to build your team and reinforce these players and show guys like Brady Tkachuk, who wanted to sign an extension, that, hey, we are trying to win. So it was the right idea, just poorly executed, especially in hindsight. The Jacob Chikrin one, the DeBrincat one, I still think you kind of had to go for that. There was an opportunity there and it didn't work out. But the Chikrin one, really looking back on it, that didn't make a lot of sense. And the way it turned out was just terrible.
Yeah, just brutal. And obviously the first and foremost thought for us is just we want Logan to battle through this. And there's a lot of talk like, hey, is he going to turn pro? I think the play is for him to go back.
Especially with this. Yeah, even without this injury, Ross, I think it would have been smart for him to go back.
So Logan Hensler, and funny enough, because if you draft a player out of the USN TDP where he was before, then you only have their rights for 3 seasons. But because Ottawa drafted him after his freshman year at college, they actually hold his rights for longer. According to Cap Wages, our good friends over there, the Ottawa Senators will have his rights until August 15th, 2029. So it's not one of those where if he goes back for his junior season, all of a sudden you're looking ahead to the next year and you're like, oh no, if he goes back, he can be a free agent and sign anywhere. Because he got his contract when it did, not contract, draft, he's not signed, but when he got his draft where he was in his development, that's not a concern. So there should be absolutely no hesitation for him to be going back and playing in Wisconsin next season as a junior.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, Pillsy, Out of Town cheering guide up next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your posts. And here's a stat that says it all. In the time that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who actually check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on the Locked On Senators podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen each and every day and helping the Locked On Podcast Network become the #1 sports podcast network. If you want ad-free coverage, check out the Everydayers Club. The link is in our description below, and you can use code DEADLINE. That's code DEADLINE for a first month free trial, as the NHL trade deadline is just a week and 2 days away, Pillsy. We actually saw a trade yesterday. The Pittsburgh Penguins sending Brett Kulak to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for Samuel Girard and a second-round pick. Two thoughts on this. One, I love it for Pittsburgh. I think that's a great flip of assets to get a second-round pick in there as well. It is in 2028, but even still, we've seen with the Chychrun trade, a second-round pick from a few years down the line might look a bit different than you thought. My other thought is that's a part of the Matt Duchene trade tree with Samuel Girard. So he went from Nashville to Colorado in that one. So just a blast from the past. But jokes aside, Brett Kulak has a chance to do something that is very rare. Play 25 or more games for 3 different teams as he started the year in Edmonton.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's been all over here. And you got to credit Kyle Dubas. Like, for where Pittsburgh was supposed to be in the standings, and him just keep squeezing out assets from the Tristan Jarry deal, which a lot of people thought he would have to pay to get out of, is pretty impressive. And Ross, I'm looking at Pittsburgh's cap wages page right now. Man, does it look crispy. From 2026, 2027, and 2028, they have their own first-round pick, their own second-round pick, plus another second-round pick in each year. So 2 second-round picks in each year, their own third-round pick, plus another third-round pick. So 2 third-round picks. So for the next 3 drafts, they've got a first, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds.
Wow.
That's nice assets to have.
Well, they got 2 seconds and Samuel Girard and Stuart Skinner in exchange for Tristan Jarry at the end of it. That's outrageous asset management. So good on them. But again, we're only 9 days away from the trade deadline, Pelsey. Like, it's pretty close to showtime here for the general managers, and it seems like things have been a lot of conversations, and we know nobody studies better than Steve Staios, but the studying's got to turn into a final exam here, and I'm hoping they don't go right down to the wire like they did with the Zetterlund trade. Like, give this team a boost.
I don't care when it happens, as long as we get a deal done. I like, obviously, it's good for us, more content, but it would be nice just as an image look to be like, hey, we're not bowing out of this. We're going to add here. As long as it doesn't cost too much, like we mentioned, I think 1 or 2 third-round picks should be in play for acquiring players for this season and beyond. You hope to get someone with term, not just a rental. But I don't know. I think from what it sounds like, Ross, the price of acquiring guys is very high right now.
Sounds that way. And clearly the Colorado Avalanche wanted to get off of some money on top of getting Kulak. They're saving about $2.5 million this season, and then obviously they're saving $5 million next season.
And they get
Kulak
size.
Expiring deal. They get some size, and Sam Malinsky's a guy that's kind of like Sam Girard. He's a right shot, Girard's a left, but they can do the same thing. Like, you can have Sam Malinsky now, whose fantasy value just went up because you'd expect him to be a part of that second power play unit where Samuel Girard had been. Okay, Pillsy, so we're back in the National Hockey League. 8 games tonight, and we've got some Sens rooting guides. And the first thing is no overtime, because all 3 games that we're going to be focusing on are Eastern Conference inclusive games. The Sabres are visiting the New Jersey Devils. Ottawa's going to need New Jersey to get that win in regulation. You're going to look at the Flyers and Capitals, and you're going to look at the Atlantic Division game, the Toronto Maple Leafs and Tampa Bay Lightning. That one's the easiest because we've tipped our hat to the Tampa Bay Lightning now a long time ago. We want them to win every game unless they're playing Ottawa the rest of the season.
Yeah, especially March 28th. We do not want Tampa Bay to win that one.
Right.
But yeah, that's the easy one. Tampa. No one's catching them, so they can win that one. As far as Flyers, Capitals, for me, Ross, it's an easy one for me, too. I want the Flyers to win that game. I'm not really scared of them. Although, I have been on the take that the Washington Capitals are a bit of a fraud team. I don't think they're as good as other people around the league think, but still, I like the Caps' chances of making the playoffs more than the Flyers. So for that reason, I want the Flyers to knock them down there.
Capitals are 2 points ahead of Ottawa right now, and the Flyers are 2 points back of the Ottawa Senators. The Devils one's also really easy to want them to win because they're currently 5 points back of Ottawa, and Buffalo is one of the teams that Ottawa's chasing. Senators will come into play tonight, 7 points back of the Sabres with the same amount of games played. This is going to be a fascinating run to the finish, and we're going to be with you every step of the way here on Locked On Senators, where we talk about the Ottawa Senators every single day. Hopefully we remember how to do postcasts. I'm fired up for that tomorrow. We'll see if Jack's good to go with a live watch party. He's probably buzzing off the views from the Canada game. That was awesome for the gold medal game. Unfortunate the way it had to end, but overall it was still a great experience to be able to share that early morning Sunday hockey with everybody who was interested. So my final thoughts on today's show is go Sens, go.
Yep. You know what? I think that's one everyone can get behind for sure. Final thoughts for me, Ross. Speaking of out of town scoreboards, obviously would have been great for Sidney Crosby, the captain of Team Canada, to be healthy in the last 2 games, specifically the gold medal game. But Chris Johnson just tweeted out Sidney Crosby will miss at least 4 weeks with the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Ottawa Senators play the Pittsburgh Penguins in exactly 4 weeks. So It's likely he will not
4 weeks. And
play
he thought
in that game.
He thought he was going to play. Like he tried to play.
Yeah.
That's awful. And
So
more awful news as I refresh Twitter. John Cooper's not going to be behind the bench either tonight or tomorrow. His dad passed away. Just horrific right after the Olympics. Never a good time, obviously. So our thoughts are with the Cooper family as well. Ottawa Senators practice starting in about half hour from when we're recording this. So head to Twitter at Sen Central for the latest on what is gone down with the USA boys rejoining the team. We'll see if they speak to the media today. I know Timmy hasn't done a presser yet since he's been back, so I wouldn't count on it being a guarantee that they speak to the media today, maybe a full rest day, and then get them back in the mix tomorrow. But it's going to be fascinating to see the reception of everything that happens when the Senators step on the ice against the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow night. No Canadian Olympians in that game, by the way. None. Detroit's got none. Ottawa's got none. So Sens fans will have to wait to tip their cap to the Canadians that did us proud as best they could there until 2 weeks. And guess who it's going to be that we got to cheer on?
McDavid?
Nope. Nick Suzuki, the next home game that the Ottawa Senators will play against a Canadian Olympian. All right, that's it for us today. Thanks so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. Please consider the Everydayer Club that deadline. Deadline is the promo code for a month free. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.